It's week number 4 in our series of sermons entitled, Lord, Teach Us to Pray. The purpose of the series is to allow us an opportunity to think about and focus on the importance of prayer and the development of the spiritual life of disciples of Jesus Christ. It's one of those things we always mean to get around to, and yet one of those things we often punish ourselves for not getting around to. We've talked about the holiness of God, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed, holy be thy name. We spent time considering what it means to pray, thy kingdom come, and discovered that we're not really praying for the end of the world as much as we are praying that this world begins to more closely resemble the world that God created it to be. Last week we began seeing that when we pray, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, we're praying that God will see to it that God's desires and preferences are done here and now, using our lives as God chooses to use them, and that as we live our lives, we bring them into harmony with God's will and way. That brings us to the petition of the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. In light of everything that we've been discovering about prayer and the prayer that Jesus prayed, why do I have the sneaking suspicion that we're not talking about something to eat when we pray these words? Let's see where these words lead us as we think about prayer and our own spiritual lives. Dr. John C. Purdy, the author of the book, Lord, Teach Us to Pray, on which this series of sermons is based, says prayer is an act of remembering. In prayer, we need to remember at least 3 things: who we are, who God is, and what God has done for us. That's the heart of the Lord's Prayer. And that is to be the heart of our life at prayer and our life in the Spirit of God. Who we are, who God is, what God has done for us. Yet how well do we do the remembering thing? It doesn't matter how many trips around the sun you've made. Slowness of remembering is not something that is related to chronological age. Just hang around teenagers who've been asked to do something by a parent, or college-aged person who has been given an assignment by a professor, or a young business person who has been given a task by the boss. They'll all tell you, I forgot, or I don't remember that. In the book of Deuteronomy, which is presented as an extended sermon offered by Moses to the people of Israel as they prepare to enter the promised land, Moses comes off like a grandparent who has important information to pass on to the next generation. In the brief passage, only 20 verses that we read again this morning, 2 paragraphs in the New Revised Standard Version, there are phrases that jump off the page and demand our attention. Remember the long way the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness. Take care that you do not forget the Lord your God. Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth. Do not forget the Lord your God and follow other gods to serve and worship them. If we have a problem with forgetting, we are not alone. Moses saw the very real tendency for God's people to forget the 3 things that prayer and a life of spiritual discipline are to remind us. Who we are, who God is, what God has done for us. Don't forget, people of God. Don't forget. The 3-part act of remembering lays a basic plan of life. It's a basic fact. We do not live to ourselves. We are not our own, no matter how hard the world around us tries to teach us otherwise. Independence, self-sufficiency, maturity, wisdom, competitive spirit, all those lessons are taught by the world around us, and the people in our lives teach us those lessons. But here's the secret. Those lessons simply are not true. In fact, When you look at the most basic level of life, the lesson is clear. We cannot even feed ourselves. Let's look at it this way. Here's a box of America's favorite macaroni and cheese. This box of mac and cheese costs little less than $1. In this box is macaroni, which is made of wheat. Wheat requires at least 3 things: soil, water, and a farmer who knows how to produce wheat. This box also contains a packet of something that is alleged to be cheese. Cheese requires soil, water, grass, cows, and at least one other farmer. Cheese comes from milk, so the farmer had better know something about the safe handling of milk products. And I can tell you from first-hand experience that farmers do not milk cows by hand anymore, so there's a whole other industry that builds and sells milking machines and milking systems. This iconic box is made from cardboard. So there's a whole other line of people who make paper. And this paper comes from 100% recycled paperboard. So let's add to the list those people who pick up your recycling and who drive the recycling trucks and who operate the paper plants, who design the box, who print the box, who assemble the box, and then fill the box with macaroni and an alleged cheese packet. Then there are the truckers who transport the mac and cheese, the dispatchers and the maintenance crews that keep the trucks running. Then there are the salespeople at Crafts who get stores to carry their mac and cheese. Then there are the advertising specialists who get us to buy the mac and cheese. And then there are the people at the store who stock it on the shelves and take our money when we pay for it. Even then we're not finished because we'll still need a pot in which to cook it and a colander to drain it. So there's an entire other industry, and we'll need water in which to cook it. So there's another whole piece of the pie. Are you getting it? And we're only talking about a box of macaroni and cheese. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of people make this box of macaroni and cheese possible. So where's the self-sufficiency? Where's the independence? And we haven't even gotten to God. Where do you suppose all that soil comes from? There's no company of which I am aware that is in the soil production business. And where does the rain come that waters the wheat and the grass? I don't know of any corporation that's in the grain production business. Do you see it? We are part of a massive web of life, and we depend on it for even the most mundane things as macaroni and cheese. We depend on nature. We depend on other people. We depend on political and economic systems. We know more than ever just how interdependent we really are. All it takes is one insurance company, or a couple of banks, or a car manufacturer, or a political crisis in a country we've never even heard of, and all that we think we have is called into question. At the center of that web, spinning that web of life, is God. God makes the whole universe operate in harmony and peace. And if there is a shortage of harmony and peace, it is because we have torn the web of life that God has woven. When we pray, "Give us this day our daily bread," we are acknowledging and confessing that we are not alone, that we are not the source of our lives and our living. In our prayers and in our praying, we admit to ourselves and we confess to God that we cannot exist apart from God's loving presence, nor can we exist apart from others, for we rely